Hello, everybody, and welcome back to LSE IT Corner. Today, we're going to talk about NGINX and how can we tune NGINX to making sure that it can be scaled for enterprise setups. So, as we know from the past videos, and you can see it back in the series, we installed WordPress on one side, and we're using a Terra VM here. So we have here the marketing server where we left off, and we also installed Matomo on the same server, each with different URLs, but they are using the same IP. So we have two configurations running on the same web server. And now you're going to expect 500,000 or more connections coming to your web servers. What are you going to do for tuning it? Because out of the box, NGINX is pretty good, but it certainly has its limitations. So what we can do here is we can go in and go into etc NGINX, and in NGINX we can do a lot of tweaking and optimization for scaling. So this is all what we're talking about in this video, and you have to do it as it's like a two-part. On one side, you want to making sure that your web server is as fast as possible and can handle as much as possible. On the second side, you want to make sure you monitor your hardware specs. So when you look at your HTOP, is something out of the ordinary? So is your total load here, right? Is your total load too high? Anything over 0 in the front is a problem. It's no longer real time. So if you have 1 or 2 or whatever, it's delaying your real time responses. So that's when you have to step up memory or CPU, or depending on what you have running, right? So in this case, right now it's quiet and nothing is really going on. But what we can do is the first couple things. And again, you can see all my notes later on. But here we go into the NGINX config itself for the whole web server, not for the individual VM setups. So we go back here and we nano it, and we have already this up and running. So we're going to put this a little bit side to side here, put it a little bit bigger so that everybody can read while we are doing. So first thing you want to do is the workers process to set up to auto. Oh, we already have that. So that's already set there out of the box. But we can do the workers connections to be by far bigger, which is the number of an int. So integer is 65,536. So 35 is the highest potential number we can set it up to. So we're going to set that up. That's how many sessions and connections it lets you handle. Don't forget, we have already the fail to ban in place. So it will handle if somebody tries to abuse, right? So here you see in the events, we set there the connections. Now we take it out from there and set it as a global, right? Now we're going to change a couple things and say multi-on, right? And then use epoll for Linux, use KQ for BSD, but we focus here on Linux. But I put the notes in because sometimes I brush both operating systems, and I'm working on a lot of different ones. So that's number one. Now we can go down. Do we have anything else in here? No, we have then just the HTTP block. Okay, so we don't worry about that too much. But now we have to still do a couple important variables, which is we have to adjust the keep alive setting, the max client, and also turn on gzip. So let's take this snippet, take it as it is, go back over, and just drop it in. Home, there's a whole line. All those notes you find later in the link in the description. And it would be really appreciative if you guys subscribe too. So now we have that already in place. Now the other thing which we want to do is send on TCP no push on and TCP no delay. So we take that as well. We put all that into the top section, right? We don't want to do that in the HTTP yet. So we're looking in HTTP. Oh, there are some things which are in HTTP which can be turned on, right? So gzip on is down there below, but we have it down here already. We put it in there. Okay, let's leave that. Okay, let's see where we are. So now you have that dropped in. You say, okay, I'm good. Let's see what I'm writing is actually correct. Uh, let's see. Oh, right. So it tells you when something is wrong. So always make sure that you test it. I know that the connections go into events, but I wanted to show you when you take something and you put it first in the wrong spot, always make sure, right, that you put it in the right spot and then go there and adjust it just where it is and good is. So we have everything else in there from the looks of it, right? So, right, test again. Oh, keep a live timeout, not allowed here. Okay, that belongs also into the same section. So the keep alive, all this, you see it down here, right? Basic settings. So that's where we're going to put it because that's where it belongs. So make always sure you put everything in the right place. So that goes there. Keep alive is there. We have these. We go up. Control KK. We have the client body. The client body also goes down below. I just wanted to show what you guys have to look for because here you see this send file on and TCP no push and TCP no delay. It's almost complete, right? So we're only missing this type of the optimization. So let's put that in home, put it in the right order. So we have that, we have that, we have that all set up. We say, okay, it's no longer basic, right? Let's get rid of the commands. So we have that all in KKK, right? So we got that already covered. So now we have to do this. So we're taking those two, let me remove them, and we go down and look at the gzip setup. So we have the gzip on, and we have a bunch of different options there below commented out. Let's get rid of those, right? So we just take what we had in our notes. I didn't separate it for a reason because I wanted to show you what's going on when you don't do it. And when you do it the correct way, then it will just say you're fine, good, and you can just continue with that. So home, in, and line it up. So now you have your gzip on and everything is set proper, right? So now you could do on top of it, you can give something in general for the location here. So let's take this. This is for video files and static images. As you can see, I cover a lot, not all of them. So let's take this and also put that into the HTTP section. Only here, you don't have to go into the vhost. So this is something server-wide being applied. And then you can also say access log off to speed up things, right? So it doesn't write. So now we have that written. Now we're going to see, oh, location directive is not allowed in that section, right? Why? Because that goes into, again, vhost. It's not in the HTTP section. So we take that and say, okay, get rid of here because it's per vhost. Save good as, and now we go into sites available and we look the two vhosts which we have correctly configured, so virtual hosts, and we go into the first one, which is the default. We look into it. We have a couple locations here, and you see where it matches, right? So you put that down here, and you say, okay, I want these images in there, and I want an expiry of 30 days. So let's load. People can actually have it in the cache, so to speak, locally. We don't update that often. So you can always set it up to higher. 30 days, pretty steep. I like to do it with 7 days first. And when I know I don't have much changes going on the web server, then I set it to a higher number. So that's here. And then we have also this the nano for the analytics side. So on the analytics side, you see that I set up something in the server here to redirect. I did the SSL already. I got that all in. But you see down here is the same section. So here I can take that. And I know that this one is very, very static. So I don't have to worry about anything. So now I have here location set. Whoops. Expiry. I don't want to log it because I don't want to blow it out of the water, so to speak. Because when you have to log every image for being accessed correctly, why? I care about the URLs and functions and all the special stuff, but not the generic stuff. The images, videos, all that stuff, that's fine. I don't worry too much about it. So save it. All right. So now we are going back. You can run it wherever you want, but NGINX -T. Okay. Everything is good. You see, everything is really good. Syntax is okay. So when we don't do now service NGINX status, it's running. Now we say, okay, I want to restart this whole thing. It's running. So when we go now and we go over to our web server, let's refresh. Did anything really change? Not obvious, right? So this is Matomo, which we just installed the other day. There's going to be a second part where we talk about the importance of SSL when you have cores in place, but we'll go into detail on a separate video on that because there are a couple things you need to know in order to make it work across domains and across HTTP, HTTPS, and all that communication, because there are a couple of things you have to pay attention to. But so we have all that. And so now we have that done for that part. So now you can do also the DDoS security measure. Okay, so we have here, and that's still in the NGINX. Okay, so this is your limit request zone binary setup. So let's see that we get that in. Sites available, and we take a look at it. We do a nano again, and we do this one reverse. So we go in there and we say, okay, we want to have this limited so it doesn't go too much out of the water and it throttles correctly so it doesn't cause us main issues. So we're going to need it on the server side for both. So let's see if we can say here in general, we put it here on the bottom. Okay, so there we put it in home, spec it right. And we don't worry about the server location because everything is here in the port 80 on this setup, redirected forced to HTTPS with whatever it comes in. It comes with a 301, which means a permanent redirect. So now we go here and set the same up here after the resolver. The resolver is another thing you like to use when you do improvements. So instead of NGINX forcing to use system DNS, you can force it to use DNSs from with cache. And so there's that setup you can set where you can say resolver timer 2 seconds. So within 2 seconds, it would fail over to the next one. So 1111 or 209.244.03 is the second one. Those are the two DNSs it forces to use. So here we have set limit rec zone, binary remote address, zone 1, 10 minutes, rate 10 requests per second. So that limits how many requests per second can be pumped against the server without being triggered a security alert. So now we do the second one where we throttle. And in this case, we already have the location. We see that. There's our location. So we just add it into the existing location. So here we have a burst with no delay, right? So we take that snippet and just drop it in here, and we have that. And then we have two other zone limitations, which are limits in general. So they are not in the subs again. So that's on top. So you go back and you say, okay, that's still limit stuff as well. So let's put this in. I talk about both in a second. So the limit con zone, again, on the remote address 10 minutes limit. And that is connection zone. And this is request. Request can be anything. Connection is really established 200 connections and whatnot. When a connection established, address up to 100 and good is. There are two safety mechanisms. You can read up on the website more. I'm going to write some more comments about each. Then you can also, if you want to, monitor that whole thing. I don't want to monitor it in this case, but there would be the setup for that. So now we did this on here. We say exit, save, up, cancel. No, analytics. There we go. So now let's see what we've done, if that is still okay. Oh, it's not allowed. So that needs to be somewhere else set. So quite often you see things, you set it in one way and that's somewhere else. So I know what I did wrong. So go in, say, oh, there's my zone here. It's not in the server, it's somewhere else, right? I have that in the server and location, but why is that here? Is that maybe to be somewhere else? So let's take a look again. It was saying limit rec zone analytics line 14. So line 14, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's this one. So that one is not allowed to be sitting in the server. That's most likely, let's take it out, right? And we'll take a look down here below because we did the same down here because it would tell us the same. So we remove that and say, okay, we understood. So that's something you said in the NGINX then. Okay. And when you go back, you find, oh, there is actually something which we already set up for the original setup from the previous video for the fail to ban, right? That's where they belong. They don't go into the server. They're global. So the request zone goes in here on the server side. Everything else goes then into the vhost configuration. So importance is always check, verify, and double check. So now we look and say, okay, oh, the limit connection zone, same thing, right? So we already know, we're already in here. We go in, just take the two, take those two, put them in its correct place, which is actually here. And go back into sites available and go in here and look for that what we accidentally put in here where it doesn't belong, which is these two. So Control K, K, they are now removed from there. Everything is fine. We learned. Okay. So now let's see if, whoops, let's see if this one is now better. There you go. So always make sure that you double check your configuration before you do anything. So now we have that set up for the analytics side. So now let's do the same also quickly for the other side, right? So all we have to do is nano default and remember what we did. So we only did in the location here this. This is the only thing which goes into the vhost configuration. So we take that, go over, put it in there. exit same, because the rest we did on the main NGINX config, meaning that is applying for all. So now we got that covered, restarting it. So now the NGINX, right? It's working, it's fine, everything is okay. So that's where you see it here broken down in notes, because I just did quick and dirty notes, but whenever you do something, always make sure that you double check, right? So now let's see if our server is still working proper. Yep, works and works. Let's go in here, pull some data. Yep, looking good. We've got some first data coming in here where we actually now seeing proper configuration and IP addresses and everything. We'll go through that in the second part about this. So now that is all good, and we say, okay, now we tweaked NGINX, but hold on, there's more. The operating system has a couple available options. Let's put it this way. Okay. So the available options are these. So the first section is in Linux, you can tweak your syscontrol, how your system on the network side functions, meaning on TCP/IP, IP version 4 or 6, and file handling. So let's go in there. So we have that. We just open it up. We're looking at it. We're seeing that a bunch of options are not enabled and nothing is set right now. So I said, okay, that's default. Do we need to do any of this? Yeah, I would say get rid of it. That's my approach. So now I say, okay, I created this and I created it in 2025. What do we have here? May 16th. And now I know for the future that that's when I set this. So now let's go through it, why we set these variables and put them in place. So number one, network core, how many maximum connections, right? Max con. Then on the network device itself, how many in the backlog? Same thing, integer max. How many on your network IP version 4 stack, TCP max sync backlog? Also, maximum you can have. Then you want to set your network IP version 4 TCP fin timeout, 15. That would be 15 seconds. Then every 15 seconds, it cleans up when something is there. Then TCP TW reuse 1, yes. So reuse the same socket. And then also file system file max. So how many files can it write? That's a good number to keep in mind. You can tweak those more as you see fit. So that's that. But now you also want to do some security limits, making sure that your system doesn't go berserky when you don't want it to do. So let's get this also cleaned up. There's nothing in it, as we can see. So same thing, put my name in, 2025. I always do it as an ISO format. Um, so year, month, day. This way it always sorts correctly. It's when you do your file naming and everything like that, it always is the same. Don't worry about international date format versus US format or any of that. If you do year, month, day in that order across the IT, everybody knows. It's ISO. So now we're going to say there also the two, because we already set it up here on the core side for the network core and the network IP version 4 to be int. So now we do it also for security limits, no file passing, right? So we boost that. We have that in place. And now we are pretty much good on that. Of course, all this is not active till we actually do a reboot. So let's take this and say, okay, I want to see at least this one quickly being up and done. So now what we can do is we just do a reboot on that server, rebooting it. In a couple of minutes, that server is being back up and then everything is set. That's how you tweak your NGINX. Fairly simple and easy to run as best as possible. There are much more details you can do, but this gives you a right out of the box, a high performance NGINX server, which runs. Keep an eye on the memory, keep an eye on the CPUs, because depending on what you have on your system, you might want to tweak one or two things, maybe adding some more memory or another CPU, depending on what application you put on there and what load, right? Because depending on what you have, your application might be more hungrier on CPU side or, right, more hungrier on the CPU side or on the memory side. You never know. So that's why I don't recommend just doing in general. Instead, watch, monitor. I prefer to use Centrion. It's a product I developed partially with through the years from the early 2000s on. I'm on and off with the project involved. I did a couple of plugins and whatnot. I primarily focus on PCI, which means I worked a lot with SNMP version 3. So if there is some good use for that later on, I can share a lot of know-how about that for you guys. But please leave some comments and questions about everything in the channel below in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe. You really help me out with this. And I keep these videos coming pretty much once to twice a week. I post a new video in this channel now to share my knowledge. And as you can see right now, there's nothing really going on it. So what we're going to do once we have the server configured and running with real data and real connection coming in, and we got some customer data on it, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a load test from an external source against this server, and I'm going to video record that here as well and show you how the server really is then performing after we did all the tweaks and setups and making sure how we can analyze the data and the whole 9 yards. So again, thanks for watching, guys.